Welcome back to Bullet Catcher Gaming, y'all. This is Jeff, screen name Corporal Spectre, here with another episode of Tactical Fashion. This one is dates back to our first episode in the series. Mark Gordon requested this. He wanted to see the outfits of three kings, so here's my little take on some of the more iconic ones, and then a little bit of the obscure, if you'll. But I've seen the movie a bunch of times, and so little details stick out to me a little more than maybe the average first-time viewer. But anyway, without further ado, let's take a look at the first character, which I have selected. George Clooney's character, Archie Gates, who was a uh, special forces major. He was assigned to be a liaison with the reporter. He's on his way out. He's kind of an embittered guy because he knows he's not getting promoted. So for the face here, I chose Cammy, which kind of gave him kind of a George Clooney-ish look almost. Haircut, I went with the crew cut, and then gave him gray colored and light facial hair. I think that light stubble. Yep. Which that's the closest thing you can get to imitating that George Clooney salt and pepper color hair that he had back in the 90s at the height of his success. Now let's see his what do we do for the outfit? So from the top, started with the jacket. This is a part where they went to go raid this village. They're kind of going under the guise that they're in there to look for chemical weapons. So they're wearing their MOP suits, the mission-oriented protective posture suits. They're wearing, even though they're in the desert, and this is the Gulf War in 1991, they are, most of the time when we go to combat, sometimes we're still using stuff out of the stockpiles, and everything at that time was kind of leftover woodland camo, because that's what all the training was oriented towards until we started going into the desert, and then in which case, camo patterns started to catch up to that. So there's no real chemical suit option for the tops here. So I went the Sentinel jacket because it kind of has that baggy look, because the MOP suit's meant to go over your uniform. That way you can change them out in the chemical environment after it's had its exposure time, or you can keep it in a bag, and then if chemical agents suddenly hit, you throw it on over your uniform. So there's that for the top. And then the pants, I went with baggy pants because, like I said, it's just meant to go over the top of your normal day-to-day uniform. And the boots I chose were the UA Under Armour Agent tactical boots. These were kind of the closest thing I could find to the regular old issued desert boots. And that about covers it for him. His weapon, I chose the M4 because at one point he was running around with that. Kind of SF guys at that time were probably the only ones that got issued M4s. Everybody else was getting M16s because those didn't really become as prominent in the regular units until much later, about the turn of the century, like 2000s. Except for the elite units like Special Forces, Airborne, 101st, 82nd, those guys. And then typical sidearm for officers up until recently has been the M9 pistol. So that's his issued sidearm here. Now going on to the other characters. Fury I used as the template for Marky Mark's character, Troy Barlow. At one point he gets captured and the Iraqi army guys are stripping him down to check him for weapons and whatnot, and he was wearing the army issued long johns at the time, and so that's what this outfit's about. So his face, I did Paul Dixon. Figure that looks kind of like a young Marky Mark. And then hair, just went with the short B. Give him that kind of scraggled, just within regs, just off the ears kind of look that he had going. And then for his top, I gave him the turtleneck, which the pattern kind of shows that kind of waffle weave of the all cotton underwear that we used to get back in the day. Well, not me. That's a little bit before my time, but you can still buy them in the clothing sales store. That was his top, and then pants. They don't really have anything similar in the pants, so I just gave him the scuba pants because, let's be honest, basically looks like underwear, right? Then just gave it a white color to match the top, and then of course his boots are the basic issue black boots. So, like I said, I noticed George Clooney's character was the only one that had the desert boots. That was because he was the only active duty one. These guys are actually from a National Guard or reserve unit, and so obviously even regular units kind of didn't have everything at that point. So National Guard, reserve, they were definitely getting the old hand-me-downs from anybody else. So, and the last things they usually update for our uniforms are the boots. And his weapon, I gave him the AK-47 because at one point, once he gets reunited with the group after they rescue him and they're run around, and then they're rescuing the rest of the people, trying to get the gold across the border. He's got an AK-47 as his weapon that he picked up off one of the Iraqi troops. Next, we will go to Fix It, who I used for Ice Cube's character, which was named Chief Elgin. His face, I gave him the Dwight Taylor. As you can see here, pretty good facsimile. And then the hair, I just gave him Afro A because he had a good high and tight. Well, not high and tight, like a low medium fade, which is similar to here. And then facial hair, just gave him a mustache, which was mustache A. And that's that for the face. And then going to the top, I just gave him the army jacket in the DCU chocolate chip pattern because that was the pattern of the Gulf War I back in the 90s. The cut isn't quite exactly the same as what they looked like back in the day, but this all things considered, basically the same. Also gave him a rucksack because at one point he was running around with the rucksack that had the Nerf footballs that old Conrad Vig had rigged with C4, and so gave him that backpack. And then for the pants, just gave him basic cargo pants, again choco chip pattern. His boots, army issue boots, black, nothing special there. And then I gave him the wolf vest or the wolf armor because at one point the guys were running around with their flak vests on, which weren't meant. They weren't like body armor in a sense. They were more just to kind of protect against fragmentation from bombs, grenades, and I think if I remember correctly, I think they can withstand up to a 9mm round. But again, those aren't very popular or powerful, so yeah. So that's his outfit. And then for his weapon, I gave him the AR-18, which is kind of the closest thing in the game to the M16, which, like I was saying, was standard issue for Army units of the time. Definitely for sure for the Reserve and National Guard, which they showed them sporting also. And last but not least, my favorite character of the movie is Conrad Vig, played by Spike Jonze. And so this outfit is inspired by when the guys are putting together the plan for the heist, and George Clooney's character asks them, if if we don't pull this off, are you guys, or we want to pull this off, and if not, do you want to do this, or do you want to go back to your day job? So they do a little quick flashback of everybody's day job. Mark Wahlberg works like IT. They show him, trying to install ink cartridge in a printer, and it blows up on him. And then they show Ice Cube's character chucking bags um, on a flight line, and then they flash over to Conrad Vig, and his flashback shows him wearing this trucker hat and tank top with a sawed-off shotgun, blasting stuffed animals off the truck, off some beat-up old truck. And then they flash back to present, and Conrad Vig says to George Clooney, "I don't really have a day job, sir." And again, it's one of the more obscure things, but kind of one of the funniest points of the movie. So his face, I gave him Joshua, just kind of a generic face like most of the rest of them. And then they don't have a mullet because he was rocking this sweet ass mullet in that flashback. But next best thing is the ponytail under the low tide ponytail under the trucker cap. And yeah, like I said, I just head protection. Just gave him the basic trucker cap, colored blue. And then his pants, I just kind of gave him these utility work pants. I figured something with pants tucked in the socks. They didn't really show like him from the waist down, but I just figured that would be something kind of similar to what he'd be rocking. Some Walmart sweatpants probably. And then of course shoes, I just gave him the old Bobos. Yeah, just these big collared, goofy looking shoes. And then first up, like I said, he was wearing just a plain old tank top, black. It looked like it had something on there. I couldn't quite grasp what the logo was on there, but that's that for his. And of course, I gave him this M4 shorty shotgun to kind of replicate the little sawed-off shotgun he had when he was blasting those little stuffed animals. So that said, I think that about covers it all. If you guys think I missed anything, or if you guys have any comments, please feel free to chime in. And make sure to like and subscribe, and check us out on Discord. We got a Discord chat up. Come be part of the group, and be happy to see you guys there. And without further ado, thank you guys very much, and cheers.